We're talking about jumping. So in many cases for dogs, it's jumping on us when we come in the door. Sometimes it's visitors, but we're going to talk today about dogs jumping on us when we come home. So Romeo is very much a jumper. He loves to jump on everyone and jump in everyone's faces. So there's several different ways to work on how to address jumping when you come in the door. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to come in several different times, and we're gonna see what he's like when I don't do anything, and then we're going to see how he responds to some different possibilities for preventing the jumping. Ideally, we always want to prevent it. We don't wait for him to jump and then ask for something. We want to try and prevent the jumping whenever possible. Okay. So he normally at this point is loose in the house when we're gone. So when I come in, he's right at the door. Used to be he was crated, and we can talk too about how to deal with it when they're coming out of the crate if they jump on us. So I'm going to go out, we're going to see what happens when I come back in. And for Romeo, it doesn't take being gone for very long to get the jumping behavior. So I'm going to leave. When I come back in, we're going to see how he responds when I come back in. So normally when I come in, I can see him because we've got windows here. You can see him, and I do not let him. I do not come in the door until he's back on the rug, sitting and waiting. So I'm already working on the jumping before I actually get in the door. By his sitting is the only way it actually gets me through the door. Now he actually offered going back into his crate, which I like. So I reward that. Notice he didn't jump on me. Normally he will jump on me when I come in if I'm not actively giving him something to do. So that time he actually remained in the sit, which was great. So what I didn't want to do was get him all revved up. Hey, bud, come here. If I go down to pet, a lot of times that gets him jumping when I first come in. So I'm going to go out and come in again. And this time, rather than just sitting, I'm going to show you some other ways. And actually sitting is one great example. If they hold the sit, they get attention that way. But I'm going to show you some other ways for dogs who are just a little too excited. Holding a sit sometimes is really difficult when there's so much excitement. So I'm going to show you a couple other ways to work on things if you've got a dog who's too excited to hold that sit, which sometimes for Romeo is the case. Okay, so we'll try it. So in this case, I might have a toy with me. I can toss the toy, so he's got that enthusiasm, but he's using the enthusiasm to pounce on the toy rather than pouncing on me. Okay? So toys, especially if you've got a really play-motivated dog, toys can be a great way to redirect that energy. If I've got a couple of special toys, works even better. So, bring it. Come here. Bring it, please. Thank you. That's a good boy. So, like this toy, he never gets to play with at home. It's not left out. So I've got a few toys like this that I can bring when I'm coming in the door or someplace where I need something special. So it's not one of his normal toys. It makes it that much more special for him to go after the toy instead of me. Back up. Back up. Wait. Go find it. So in this case, instead of tossing a toy, I had a handful of treats. Find it. Where's it? Find it. I had a handful of treats that I tossed in. So if the dog tends to jump as soon as you get in the door, I'm actually just reaching in the door, tossing that toy or tossing those treats in before he has a chance to even think about jumping on me. Yeah, buddy. Good job. Okay, so we've done toys, we've done treats. Now I'm going to try something else, and we'll see how that works. case, I'm still giving him treats, but only if he's sitting and waiting. Thank you. So in this case, he's calm enough that I can do that. Normally, if I'm just coming home after being gone for a while, normally he's not calm enough to be able to do this. He'll sit, but he has a lot of trouble holding that sit. Okay. So for some dogs, this works great. For others, not so much. Okay. So, come on. So in this case, he's actually calm because he's actually still looking for something. So in this case, I come right in the door, I ignore him, I walk right over to the window and look out. So in this case, what we're looking for is not interacting with the dog at all. So for most dogs, just the thought of you coming in the door gets them very excited. But if you make eye contact, hey buddy, how's it going? You make eye contact, you talk to them, you reach out to touch them, gets them that much more amped up. Sometimes, if we can walk in and directly go somewhere, look out the window, wherever, somewhere where we're completely ignoring the dog, some dogs will settle down a lot faster, so there may be a little bit of jumping at first, but what you start to see is they get less jumpy because you're ignoring them and they're not getting any attention, so it's not as exciting as it used to be when you first came in the door. Come on. Come on. Good job, buddy. Good boy. Good job. Okay. So in this case, I'm actually asking him to go somewhere. So when I first come in, he's maintaining the sit, but I know most of the time, even if he's sitting at first when I come in, he's having trouble controlling that excitement to jump. So in this case, I'm giving him another job to do, which is come up. Good job, buddy. And then I can throw a toy in, I can toss treats in, I can reward him for come up. Oops. I can toss food or toys in there to reward him for actually going in there rather than jumping at me. So what I'm really looking for, whether I'm tossing toys or food or asking him to sit or kennel up or go to a rug or a mat, what I'm really looking for is giving him a different job to do. If my dog can calm down relatively fast and follow instructions, a sit might work great, sitting and waiting. But for most of the dogs that are so excited about jumping, sitting and waiting is really, really difficult when you first come home. Easier when they're not as excited, but when that excitement level's high, it's hard to maintain that sit. But if you can direct that energy somewhere else, going to a specific place, going after a toy, going to find food, any of those kind of things, it helps give the dog something to replace the jumping with. And that's really what we're looking for. Ideally, we want to replace that jumping behavior with something else. If we just ignore the jumping, it'll probably go away eventually. Most of the times it will. But for some dogs, like with Romeo, jumping is just so reinforcing to him, even without anybody actually giving him attention. Just the jumping itself is very reinforcing. So for him, he really needs a different job to do. For some dogs, just ignoring it, it'll go away because it doesn't give them the attention they want. For some, it's really going to be difficult to get rid of unless we can direct that activity, that energy, in some other direction. We've talked about jumping when you come home and your dog is loose in the house. Many dogs are going to be crated while you're gone, so you're actually letting them out of a crate. So if Romeo were in his crate when I came home, he'd be there instead of at the door when I come in. So same idea, except now your dog is crated instead of meeting you right at the door. So when I go to let a dog out of the crate, my dogs are always required to be either sitting or lying down before they can come out. So I'm already addressing the arousal issue before they have a chance to get close to me. So even though the door is wide open, he's not allowed to get out of his crate until I give him permission. Go. So we're helping to address the arousal before he even comes out of the crate. Once he comes out, then your remedies are going to be pretty much the same as when you come in through the door. We talked about ready, go. Using treats, tossing treats and sending that arousal that way, tossing a toy out. What you might do is, get up. When I open the door, if he's going to jump on me, what I might do is actually stand behind the door, so when he comes out, you go. Can't get at me with the door. If he is jumping, he's jumping toward the door, so I've got a little bit of a barrier to provide for myself, so I'm not right at the door when he comes flying out. So give yourself a little bit of space, play around a little bit with where you have yourself positioned when he comes out, but once out, then use the same kind of tactics we did at the doorway. Food, toys, giving him something specific to do. There you go. Sit. Good. So when he comes out, I give him a specific job to do once he comes out of the crate.